Hello there, everybody. As you can hear, I've been having a little bit of a cold, as 90% of other Swedes, I guess. It looks like almost anyway, but it is definitely on its way back now. I said that I was going to do more frequent vinyl CD updates, and I thought it was a good idea to do one now, since I've been having a lot of luck with the records now for the past week. So I have a stack of full-length vinyl CDs and 2 vinyl singles to show. Cicero is a British musician, I think, that I know from only one thing, and that is that he did one song produced by Pet Shop Boys that was actually really good. So this is not produced by Pet Shop Boys, but as the other song was pretty good, I thought it was would be interesting to have this one also. And it sounds not all that far away from Pet Shop Boys, actually. It sounds pretty much Pet Shop Boys over it, even though they are not involved in this. So it's a good single. 70s soul will be some of that today. We have GQ, the band that I know very little about. I think I have an album with them since before, not very played yet though, but a pretty good soul and funk band. This is Boogie Oogie Oogie and Disco Nights Rock Freak from 1979, released on Arista. Going into CDs, stack of 4 CDs. This one has been kept fooling me now for well over 15 years. This is Paul Hardcastle and No Winners, and yes, this is the follow-up to his self-titled album, the one that I've been showing many times as the very first album I've ever bought, that I still consider one of the best albums I have. This follow-up I bought around 15 years ago first, not this one but another copy of it, and I looked at the back and counted it up to almost 15 songs, and I put it in the CD and I only saw 7 tracks. I was thinking, hey, something wrong with this CD. It only contains 7 songs, even though it's supposed to be 15. And I kept it for many years because until I found a copy that as I thought then would be 15 songs. Until I gave up and shipped it away, and I want all or nothing. Then I found this one now this week, and I thought now maybe I'm lucky to have been finding a correct version. Putting it in the CD player, and it also has 7 tracks. I don't understand why. It's supposed to be that way, then why does it say 15 tracks here? And I finally looked it up and Googled it and seen that it says 15 tracks here, but 9 of those are combined in a sort of a series or some sort of a giant concert, giant symphony version for 33 minutes. Though the titles here are only the subtitles for this one. So I've been fooled many times, and who wouldn't be fooled? I mean, it doesn't say anywhere that 9 of these tiles are combined into one track. Doesn't say anywhere. But I'm glad anyway now that I have it. I'm not going to say that this is just as good as the debut. The debut, of course, has nostalgia value deluxe. But this one isn't just as good as the debut, or the one that my first album, self-titled. But it is Paul Hardcastle, and it's not all that easy to find his albums here in Sweden. I'm very happy to have it anyway. It's still a pretty good album, great produced, but not just as good as the previous album. Donald Fagen, Kamakiriad, produced by Walter Becker. So it's pretty much Steely Dan album, but with Walter Becker, with Donald Fagen as a solo, from 1993. This was a little, some kind of a foreign low budget that I got interested in. This is Earl Hines, a CD released on something called Folio Collection, Jazz Masters, 100 Años de Swing. Sorry, my Spanish is a little rusty. I'm not that really check on what 100 is in Spanish. They are recordings from the 70s. We have Earl Hines piano, Milt Hinton bass, Grady Tate drums, and Lionel Hampton vibes, and also some Turner and Conga. And it's pretty good. It's a very good, interesting swing. Even though I maybe prefer Earl Hines a little bit older stuff, but this is a very, very great piano swing. And this one I showed on Facebook and Instagram, but it's very interesting cover. This is a compilation that I bought, Jazz for Quiet Times. Not often I buy compilations, but it looked like an interesting jazz ballad album that contained a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before or heard of before. So I got very curious, and we have names like Sonny Stitt, Kenny Burrell, Al Coon as it seems, some very interesting names, Sonny Chris, and pretty much a great album to have to relax to. A sticker from some store in UK actually. The sleeve looks very interesting. You can see this looks more like some kind of a Blu-ray disc or video game. Open it here, and aside from a commercial ad that's only, or ads for the other albums in the same, from the same label, no real inner sleeve or inner information folder. Here says the title tracks. Unfortunately, no information about what year these are recorded in. But I think it's pretty interesting. So, vinyl. Total sum of 11 vinyls. Starting off with jazz. I said that I'm not that big fan of Louis Armstrong, but I like his earlier stuff, from Hot Five period to around beginning 30-31 maybe, when he had big band in the way early 30s. Those, and after that, I'm very not interested in Armstrong. He became a little too much entertainer, and then a bit too much Dixieland, and then both, and then came those years with Hello Dolly and What a Wonderful World and so on that I'm not all that fond of. But his early stuff is great, so I'm very happy to finally have been finding an album, Louis Armstrongs Hot Five. Hot Five is Armstrong, Kidori, Baby Dolls, his wife Lil Hardin Armstrong, and Johnny Sincere. These are recordings from 1925 to 26. Sounds a bit, of course, Dixieland, as that those were the times. But as I like Hot Five, though, they are the exception. That it sounds really, really great. It sounds really, really great energy. Might be one of the few Dixieland stuff that I actually can enjoy. Well, that is Louis Armstrong's Hot Five. I'm glad to finally have a full album with them. We're now into records that I bought yesterday at Erikshjälpen. Captain and Tennille from 1977, Come In From the Rain. Listen to quick peeks of this, and it was so far what I've heard so far isn't just as good as the other Captain and Tennille albums I have, but it's still very well made, and I'm going to listen to the entire album and hope that I'm wrong. But it's going to be very, very interesting still. And what's interesting also with this is that it came with a poster. Interesting, it's cut out, but still the poster are still here. Sorry. And it is of course a picture of the cover sleeve. Coming into the soul part, a couple of soul records. Modern soul, or modern soul, more modern than the other two anyway. This is a band called Modernic that I actually never heard of. This is almost a blind buy, but I cheated a bit. I checked on YouTube when I stood there in the store and checked out if this was interesting or not, and listened to some tracks that was put out there, and found out that this was actually really good 80s soul and funk style, 1987, and continued to listen to quick peeks on the album when I got home, and it sounds really, really interesting and very well made. So it's going to be very interesting. A long time ago since I bought 80s soul. More common then is 70s soul, even though I'm having a hard time finding great of those at the moment. A little bit setback when it comes to 70s soul. But I found this that I also listened to on YouTube before I bought it, because I never heard of this band either, but it looked interesting. Faith, Hope and Charity, a band from USA, in the same stable as in the Van McCoy stable. This is from 1975, and it is a self-titled album. And I listened to more quick peeks when I got home, and it sounds very, very interesting, very funky, and it's going to be really, really interesting. Even if I am not listened all that much to Van McCoy's productions, but it's going to be very, very interesting. This one looked extremely interesting. This is Dionne Warwick from 1977, an album called Love at First Sight, and this one was pretty much natural to buy, especially when I looked at who is among the musicians. Victor Feldman, we have Ray Parker Jr., we have Jay Graydon, we have Ernie Watts, trumpet player. A lot of great famous names here. So I listened to quick picks and it sounds very, very interesting. Diane Warwick is an artist that has made great albums and also really uninteresting albums, like the Heartbreaker album that I think is completely boring. Though she has done a lot of great albums also, and this is going to be very, very interesting. It sounds very, 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 very great. Some records that I bought at Vinylstallet, a record store in Sundsvall. We have here B-52s and Whammy from 1983. I don't have all that much with B-52s, but I will change that. Always, it has such an energy. I love especially Kate Pearson's energy. It's just you get really happy when you hear B-52s and Kate Pearson. And last time I showed Pinky Blue, an album by Altered Images from 1982, and I just had to buy another one. Happy Birthday, maybe the most famous album. I said then that I am a little so interested in the title track, their most famous song. It's not a bad song, it's a okay good song, but it's definitely not the best in the genre. This is from 1981, so I haven't listened to it yet, but it's going to be very interesting. This is Boomtown Rats from 1984 and In the Long Grass. A little more 80s Boomtown Rats style. I have 2 Boomtown Rats albums left, and those are their first 2 albums until I have complete Boomtown Rats. It's gone way fast when it comes to Boomtown Rats, actually. And we have some genuine synth pop also. We have John Fox, formerly of Ultravox. Ultravox from the years before Mitch Ure. He did some electronic music himself after he left that band. In the Garden is this from 1981, containing the single Dancing Like a Gun that I actually have as a single, so it's interesting, great to have the full-length version of it also. Very satisfied. Good to finally find some real great 80s new wave synth pop. It's not all that easy nowadays to find that I already don't have for reasonable price. And Danish singer Sanne Salomonsen, Danish rock singer, I've shown him before, really good, maybe one of the best artists that came from Denmark. And this is from 1989, an album called Sanne, containing her maybe biggest hit here in Sweden, Hvis du forstod, If You Understood, and Kelly Hidden Cattle, Love Cause. And I thought I had this one, but now I realized that I don't, so very great to have this one. And finally, some jazz. Maybe not the best sleeve, but the album looks better. This is Count Basie Orchestra and High Voltage, and it's recordings from 1970, and with the classic names, of course, Eddie Lockjaw Davis, and we have Joe Newman, and we have Freddie Green, and many of the classic Count Basie names. This is released on German label MPS. MPS that to me is most famous for having released a lot of great Oscar Peterson albums in the 60s. Oscar Peterson lived in Germany for a couple of years, and then he released many albums on this label. And they also had Singers Unlimited, a great vocal group that was managed by Oscar Peterson also. And I didn't know that Count Basie had released albums on this label, but great to have. So, first vinyl CD update outside of the normal frames. Sounds, feels a little odd. So, until next time, I hope that every one of you have a really nice time in the autumn. Take care, everybody, and so long.